Hi guys, VST here, Velian. Welcome back on my channel. Pretty much see what I have here in my hand. It is indeed the Huawei P40 Pro. And I know it's before the end of the year, but I promised to do a review of this phone. I had a P30 Pro this year, which was pretty much a fantastic phone, so I put a review down there. Is the magic still there using the P30 Pro still in 2020? And I think it was there, so if you want to check the P30 Pro, you can check my video there. Right now, of course, this is a bit more interesting. First, because this is the Huawei P40 Pro, which is a newer model, right? It's not the last one because everybody knows they put a Mate there, but it is the last from the P series. It is, of course, the top spec one, so it's the Pro, it's not the Lite. And then, of course, the other interesting thing is that it's kind of different. And the very big difference can be only described with one word, and it's Google. Yes, here we all know that Google is missing. People are calling it GMS, it's the Google Mobile Services. So what I want to do, guys, in this video, I'm gonna run through this phone and just try to see some of the specs inside the operating system, a bit of the tricks that you cannot really find in some of the other phones. I want to see how it behaves, what happens when you open an application in landscape mode or not. All these other tricks that you kind of know, I put some emphasis on. It's not going to be like the standard YouTube video review, like me baffling about some RAM and etc, because all of these things already been done. So I just want to give you like a different perspective, right, on the way this phone really presents to the users. And then, of course, in the second part of the video, we're going to be seeing, is there really a life without Google for the Huawei P40 Pro users? And you already know I'm a big Huawei user. I still have here my Huawei charging pad, which is the original one. I still have the Huawei GT2e, which right now I think is with my wife. I'm back to my Active 2, but I'm a big fan of Huawei and I really think that they're doing an incredible job, and it doesn't matter really if they're gonna go ahead with Google or not. We all know that Harmony is coming, so there are reasons we should be not taking our eyes off from Huawei in the future as well. But without any further ado, I'm just going to start the phone right now and just see what it offers. So what we can right now see is the always on display. We are presented right now here with a very nice wallpaper. We're gonna see here like the usual stuff that I do, right? We have now the always on. Tapping it once will do nothing, but even without the always on display, tapping it once will just give you that. Tapping it twice will get you here to the lock screen. If we go to the right side, you can just see some very nice, beautiful scenery, of course, some wallpapers. You can apparently go to settings, of course, when the phone is unlocked, and try to further configure them. When we go again to the lock screen and we're gonna go to the left, we're gonna see the same reaction. Okay, one more time. Okay, here we are presented with the shortcut for the camera, which is pretty much a nice thing to have. Okay, and then we're gonna do one more test. We're gonna go and try to swipe from the top. Okay, apparently nothing, just presented with a pin. We have to say that here this is reading the EMUI 10, which is still based on Android 10, so we don't have here the Android 11, but as you can see later in the video, some of the Android 11 perks are already here, so they made their way into the EMUI 10. Something very interesting that I also observed, if you take a finger and just like this, you're gonna be presented with some very nice icons here. So apparently you can record your voice. You have also the option to put the flashlight into a use. Then you have the calculator, okay, and then I think you have also a stopwatch and then the AI lens, right? And I think this is pretty much all you can do really from the lock screen. Now my only remark is that compared to other phones, you don't have direct access to the notifications, or at least I'm not able to find it. And apparently when you click on the clock here, nothing really happens. On some of the other phones, Huawei 30, etc, you know, we have some widgets and etc. But okay, let's just go inside the phone. The unlock, just see, the unlock is quite quick. We are presented here with a very nice, and I would say clean design. It's very standard for Android, right? We have here a widget presenting the time, the weather, then we have a search bar, and then of course here we have all the things that we will use, so the themes, the music, the gallery, and we have here something called top apps. Immediately opening that one, we see we have a link to Office, Bing, News, etc. On the second screen, we get further folders like entertainment, and you see already that some of the applications are missing. We have also social here, and we have also lifestyle. One thing that I pretty much like about the EMUI is that when you open a folder, you know, you're getting some suggestions. So let's say if I open the games folder, I'm gonna get here recommendations, and I think this is quite cool. Probably can switch this off, but it's quite cool, and the way it just looks is really nice. I don't know, I like it. First thing, guys, I want to just see is how this phone behaves when we are directly here on the home screen. So I'm just going to take my finger and just scroll from the top. Okay, this is here the quick settings, the notifications, and etc. Pretty much looks standard. So if we just expand it a bit more, we can see that this is actually a very big screen with all the toggles. They pretty much take up your whole screen like in One UI 3.0, not in the way it's done in the Oxygen OS 1 Plus, so that you can just go to the left or the right. I don't think it's bad. Pretty much looks standard here. Down below we have the notifications. You can also manage notifications, and we're gonna see this when we go into the settings. So it's a pretty standard view. Okay, another thing we want to see, guys, we're gonna go here into the settings. Right, and the very first thing we see, of course, is login to the Huawei ID, and this is presenting you the option to use the cloud services provided by Huawei. Then we have some Wi-Fi connections. Wi-Fi connections are pretty standard. One thing I liked, if you go to more settings, apparently there is something called the Wi-Fi Plus, which can really switch between your mobile connection and your Wi-Fi to just make sure that you really get like the best accelerated connection. We also saw this in the Oxygen OS, like dual acceleration, also in the One UI. So this is really pretty much good. It's Huawei really catching up with the others. Okay, then we have the Bluetooth, very standard settings here. Then we have the mobile network, again, very standard settings here. SIM management, you know, nice display here with these icons of the SIM cards. I kind of like that one. And then we have here more connections. More connections, you have multi-device collaboration, okay? You have NFC settings and you have VPN. And I will spend some time here, guys, because there are some things here that really puts the Huawei a bit apart of the other devices. So if we hit here the multi-device collaboration, right, you apparently can use your Huawei smartphone with some other Huawei devices, okay? And of course you need to have the Huawei ID, and this pretty much resembles like the Apple continuity feature. I will not tell this right now. Something I wanted to draw my attention is the easy projection. Now in the easy projection, you might think that this is kind of like just projecting the screen from your smartphone, let's say, to a bigger screen. But it's not only that, and I'm just going to show you what I mean here. When you click on wireless projection, guys, apparently I'm going to search for some devices. I have my Philips TV and I also have a Chromecast, but as you can see here, only a Philips TV has been found, and the reason is that it has this desktop mode, which is really crazy, like the Samsung DeX, and it does only work through Miracast. So we need to have a device that is really compatible to Miracast. All right, so I'm just going to show you right now how it looks. I just want, guys, for you to see this, because this is one of the things that really makes the Huawei EMUI really stand out compared to the other operating system. So right now we can apparently use our device as a big touchpad, and as you can see here, you know, I'm just moving the mouse there. I can open the gallery and it pretty much have like a full-fledged operating system. You can also open here a start button like in the Windows. So if you do so, you're going to be able to access all of your application, the Office, the AliExpress, of course, everything that is pretty much installed on the phone. It does support multitasking and multi-window, and you can also even watch your videos and also your pics. So it's a very neat feature, and I can only compare this one to what we have into the Samsung DeX mode. But you know, hey, this here is just working with a phone, no cables attached, so it's pretty cool. I've just shown you guys the desktop mode, and apparently there is also a phone mode. So if I choose the phone mode, I'm just going to clone the display of my Huawei to my big screen. Of course, I can hit also the disconnect option. Again, it's a very handy feature, and it does really work without connecting it with some cables, which is pretty fancy. And I think when Samsung launched DeX, it was only available, you know, through some cable connection. Okay, let's go back to the settings. The next thing I want to show you guys is home screen and wallpaper. As you can expect here, we have pretty standard stuff. First thing to be seen here is the always on display, which you already saw when I started the phone. When you go there, apparently you can switch it off and on, of course. Then you can also put a schedule, and here are the available clock styles. So you have some very standard ones, some black and white ones. You have some very fancy one, and even some one with animation. So if I try to set this one and I power off the phone, it's gonna be like this. I'm not sure if this is really a good idea. I just hope that Huawei implements something to kind of move the pixel and prevent screen burning. Alright, so this is pretty much the arrows on display. Then you have the magazine unlock, pretty much the same what we have also in the Samsung One UI dynamic wallpaper, like Huawei just presenting you with some very nice pictures that you can use as a wallpaper. Then you have also themes, so you can just go to themes. Apparently you can try to change your wallpaper and all text styles and all live wallpapers, so all like the fancy stuff we usually get. And then last but not least, you have here the wallpaper. We can just go and change, you know, with some stock wallpaper, or let's say a downloaded one. Then we have the home screen style. We have a standard option. We have all the apps on the home screen, and then you have also the drawer option, and that's very fancy. And by the way, just to be seen right now in the One UI 3.0, it is very nice how like all these operating systems pretty much have these common things together. And then you have the lock screen signature, like you can use here your name or whatever. right? The next thing that we can apparently see is the display and brightness. And here, guys, I want to draw your attention. We have very standard settings here. We have the brightness adjustment. We have also the color, temperature, and mode. So we have a normal one, you have the vivid one. When you go to normal or vivid, you have some additional settings, you know, probably playing with the warm and etc. Kind of like nice, but we don't really see the profiles that we have in other phones like sRGB and etc. We have the sleep, we have the eye comfort. Now eye comfort, of course, is the blue light filter. The flicker reduction is probably the dimming, so it's kind of nice that we can see these things implemented already here. We have the dark mode. Now when you just click dark mode, it is really dark, and I say this because a lot of people, for example, are complaining from the OS Oxygen 11 and the OnePlus team, who kind of like made this to be not so dark. Like the dark mode is like grayish. Here the dark mode is pretty dark. We have these gray separators. I think it looks great. Going back to white, you have the text and display size, okay, standard. But I want to draw your attention to two things. So we have here the screen resolution and we have the screen refresh rate. And we can already see here we have just high. When we go to the screen resolution, we are presented with two options. Of course, this is the high resolution and the low one, but there is also something called the smart resolution. And when you hit it in, you can see that the smart resolution will automatically select lower resolution in some cases, or let's say if you're not using the phone so often, etc., it will automatically adjust the screen resolution to save power, right? And I think this is quite cool. And the same applies also for the refresh rate. So if we go to the screen refresh rate, we're gonna see that we can go up to 60, right? And also up to 90, which pretty much means that it uses really like an adaptive screen refresh rate and also an adaptive resolution. I fancy this approach. Everything that saves power is good. And we know that Huawei and EMUI really are the kings for the smartphone batteries. They're really doing a very great job at this. Then we have here the mode display settings, which is pretty much self-explanatory. But then we have also the cutout, and I just wanted to show you guys the implementation of Huawei for hiding the cutout. And actually it's not bad because, you know, nobody's talking about this, but this is really a big thing. It's ugly. And of course, we're gonna get used to this one, but it's still big, right? But if we just press the hideout, you know, boom, we have really like a nice looking phone right now. Didn't really mention something about design, and I told you, I don't want to make this like a spec video. So that's why I was not speaking much about design, but right now with its cutout, I think really it does look a bit fancy. Okay, just let's go back to the settings. We're gonna go back to displays, more display settings, and we're gonna remove the cutout. I mean, yeah, let's use all the displays we have. The next thing to see is the sound vibration. Sound vibration, it's pretty standard. The only thing that I want to see here is the sound booster. Okay, apparently sound booster exists. It can really boost the ability to hear your surroundings by turning your phone into a remote mic that streams sound to your Bluetooth earphones or speaker. Currently supported. Of course, you need to have the FreeBuds and etc. And this is actually quite nice. I mean, if you have the original Huawei FreeBuds. And then the second other interesting option is the Huawei hiss and sound effects, but you need to connect the headphones to the phone here to be able to experience that one. It's pretty standard settings. And then of course we have the notifications, guys. Again, here we don't have Android 11 to have all these nice and fancy things for the notifications, but still I think Huawei did a very good job with the EMUI 10. There are some things already implemented here, so you can apparently manage all the notifications. You can, you know, just select the notification tab, allow it, not allow it, hide notification content. It is not so bad as I thought it's gonna be. Next thing is the biometrics and password. Is the fingerprint ID, the face recognition, setting up the lock screen. It's pretty much standard stuff. And then we have here the apps, and this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is really the apps management from Huawei. When you click on apps, you're gonna see all your applications. When you're gonna get to app launch, you can apparently manage how they start, right? That's also a fancy thing. Like Huawei are being known really to be really the kings of battery, like I said 2 minutes ago, and yeah, it's for a purpose. If you hit manage all automatically and then hit an application, you can see that you have some options to auto launch, to use a secondary launch, which is like this application can be launched with some other apps, or to have it run in the background. So you can apparently set all these things for all the applications. Now you have to turn the manage all automatically, and then let's say, okay, notepad, you know, just turn it off, and then you can select, okay, what should stay on and what not. Something, guys, that really came, I think, from Android 11, or at least the idea was like this. They have the permission manager, and it's pretty nice. We have now, this is like the golden standard. So storage, which is your application are using storage. Okay, phone, which of your application can use the phone, and microphone, which of your application apparently can use the microphone. So let's say the camera can use it, you can allow it, you can deny it, you can see all the camera permissions. They implement it into a very nice way here in the EMUI. of course, into the apps, and then you have the default apps, which is pretty much what is the default browser, the default SMS app, and etc. Then you have the app assistant. Okay, you can do some things here, and also app assistant will boost your gameplay with game space and all of that. Again, not so interesting stuff for me. And then you have the app twin, which is cloning the applications. So app management happens from applications. Then you have the battery. It looks really like a bit from what we've seen already into the latest One UI 3.0. So you have the performance mode, you have the power saving mode, you have the ultra power saving mode, and you can just see I have 65%, and if I hit the ultra power saving mode, I'm gonna run for 78 hours, the app launch, the battery usage. So I think it's a quite nice implementation. You have the power consumption details, you can see okay, how much percentage and etc. Hardware, software, I mean, it's really presenting you with some nice level of detail. You can go and choose the battery percentage to be next to the battery or icon or inside. Again, plenty of customization options. You do also have the wireless reverse charging, and you have also more battery settings. If we hit the more battery settings, we can see we have the smart charge and the stay connected while asleep, so power intensive apps of course as well. It's pretty nice the way they did it. Then we have the storage, standard implementation. How much storage do you have? You can also perform a cleanup. Then you have the location. Okay, location, pretty much all the applications that can use your location. You have also some advanced settings, and you know we have Wi-Fi scanning, Bluetooth scanning. I always remove those ones because they consume a bit more battery. Okay, then we can go back. Then we have the digital balance, and this is really interesting because the digital balance is kind of like the Huawei's implementation of Google's what is it, like digital well-being. It's pretty much the same. I'm even not gonna go there. Then we have the Huawei Assistant, so we have all these AI things here. It's pretty much the way Huawei are doing it, like it's like the Apple way, like everything really comes from them. Like Apple have Siri, they have here iLens, iTouch, iTips, iSearch, everything really, Huawei Assistant. Accessibility features, guys, you have the one-handed mode, you have shortcuts and gestures. You can do plenty of things like using your knuckles here to do a screenshot, but there is no options to do some actions with single tap, which was a bit frustrating. Wake screen, for example, you have the option to raise to wake it and double tap to wake, but let's say you don't have the option to double tap to kill the screen off and etc. But anyway, still pretty customizable. You have the multi-window, which is an option I'm going to show you guys. It's really interesting. Then you have the users and account. This is the standard information. You can add here a new user, and this user can log and just have access to other apps. You have system updates. There are a ton of things you can do here. And by the way, system navigation also is part from the system updates. I'm not sure why, it pretty much sounds weird, but probably because it's system and updates. So if you go here from system navigation, we have the gestures. We can go back to the 3-key navigation, and there is also more, and the more is just this navigation dock, which I really avoid using it. By the way, all the gestures are pretty much the one that we already are used to in One UI 3.0 in Oxygen, so I even really didn't need any training or whatever. Let's go back one step. Then we have the About Phone, and this is actually the unit that I'm reviewing. Okay, now next thing, guys, I want to show you is really the task manager. Okay, we are now back at the home screen, and now I'm gonna do some launching of applications and see how it behaves. So let's start App Gallery. Okay, pretty much standard. Let's turn the phone here, right? And we're just gonna make sure that I have the auto rotate, which is already on. Now this is something that I like quite much, guys. Every time the phone is like this and you start an application, it will perform an auto rotate animation. Just look at this. I think it is really cool, and it's not to be seen in the other implementation. So let's just click Teams. Not all the time, but I think in most of the applications you're gonna see this nice rotating effect, and I think it's quite cool. All right. Okay, let's see some opening and close animations. Now opening again the Huawei App Store. Okay, let's open also now the gallery. Animations are pretty standard. No zoom out effects, zoom in effects, kind of like on the wallpaper, but I think they're still decent. Let's see right now, guys, what happens if we tweak here the volume rocker. I just press it once, just okay, Android 10, that's pretty clear. Press it twice. Okay, it doesn't really go small or bigger like in iOS, but we have the option here to go to vibrate mode, to no sound, and now we have also system sound and app sound. Okay, I would say it does look a bit simplified compared to what we have, let's say, One UI 3.0, even in Oxygen OS 11, but maybe because this here is still Android 10. What we want to check right now, guys, is what happens when we want to kill some applications. And we're gonna go to the task manager. Okay, the open gesture is like that, very standard. This one is a bit too slow compared to what we've seen in One UI 3.0, etc. It's still not so bad. And let's now try this multi-window mode. So we can see there is an icon next to each of those applications that of course supports it. So if you, let's say you're gonna go gallery, press that one, and you're gonna see the gallery turns into a single window. Let's say you're gonna go to messages, and you need to hit here and then put it there, so it's a bit confusing, right? And that is actually the option for you to get like a split screen. And the good thing about this is that it's gonna save your split screen like, you know, like a preset into the recent, which is not so bad. Let's do another one, by the way. So let's say we're gonna do the app permission. You know, it's a bit frustrating because it's not so 100% straightforward. So let's say I want to couple this with the browser. I open the browser. Now I have to hold the finger here and now I can drag it. Okay, now we can use both screen. But the good thing is that when you go back to the recent task manager, etc., you're gonna see this is really saved. I think this is quite neat. This is gonna kill everything. Wow, you saw that this killing animation was very dope. Let's just try to do it again. Okay. Okay, they go like this, so not so bad, I like it. And the second part, guys, of this video is how is life without Google there. So what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna go to App Gallery, and I wanna see really, wow, you see already some ads. I wanna see really what are the apps that you can download like directly without doing any hacks or whatsoever. So we're gonna get first to social, right? And oh, we have Viber, we have Telegram, we have Snapchat, you have Tinder. Okay, but you don't have the Facebook and you don't have Twitter. Notice something very interesting. So let's say if I type here Facebook, okay, let me just type Facebook, right? You're gonna get redirected to the Facebook site where, of course, there is a link for you to download an APK, right? I'm gonna go to downloads, okay, 91%, 94%. Okay, I'm gonna go now to downloads and see if I'm able to install this one. Okay, don't ask me again. Allow, install, all right? Facebook, successful. All right, now open, boom, so we have Facebook. But guys, I have a solution for you. So what you can do really to improve the experience when you use this phone is do the following. So you have to open the browser, guys, all right? And then you need to navigate to something called Aptoide, right? And Aptoide actually presents a like alternative store. You can directly hit here, download Aptoide. I'm actually gonna do this directly with you. And now I can see that Aptoide latest is apparently being downloaded. Okay, added to the download list. I'm just gonna go hit here, downloads. All right, see? This is, by the way, the Huawei Download Manager. Let's wait for this to be 100%. Okay. Okay, all permissions. I'm just gonna give it, it's okay. Installing it. And guys, actually Aptoide is going to give you an opportunity to install some applications that you cannot find into the Huawei app gallery. So press open here, starting from the first time. Okay, I'm just gonna skip. And guys, what I wanna see really is if I'm able to kind of like find Twitter, right? So I'm just gonna go to search. And the first thing I'm gonna do is type Twitter. Okay, see Twitter, boom. Okay, install. All right. Okay, allowing access to the storage. You need, of course, to do this. It's being downloaded right now. Trump, Twitter, coronavirus tracker, Twitter Lite. There are really a lot of options. And you know, I am actually using also Aptoide on my other phones that have like legit Play Store access, because here you can find things that are not on Play Store, like some, you know, forbidden APKs. Allow Aptoide to install apps. Okay, of course I'm going to allow it. All right, see, let's see what happens. Okay, open, boom, Twitter application, right? So we can apparently create, guys, Facebook and Twitter, right, on a Huawei phone that doesn't have any Google services. Of course, I realized that neither Twitter nor Facebook are like Google services, but still one of the main things that you cannot find in the Huawei gallery, you can find here. All right, let's just see some other things. Now, while we're here on the home screen, what happens if you want to pinch out to zoom? All right, standard stuff, wallpapers, widgets, transitions. Okay, this is good. This is good, you know, I kind of like miss this. I kind of miss this in most of the Android implementation. You can apparently play with the transition, that's nice. Okay, and then it's also home screen settings. Okay, we have the layout. This is the icon layout. We have the option also to lock the layout and to do the auto align. That's quite nice. Okay, and what happens if I just hold a finger like that? Okay, nothing. So let's say if you want to add a widget, you just need to go from widgets. Oh, actually appear here in this transparent bar below on the phone, which is pretty nice. So let's try to add that one. I'm not sure what even that is. Okay, it's a car. Choose an album, like a music player. You know, honestly, it's a nice phone. You know, it does feel nice in the hand. One thing we wanted to see what happens if we go to the very right side. This is the end. But if we go to the very left side, we have the Huawei Assistant, of course. All right. So of course you cannot expect to have anything Google there, but you see we have the step counter, we have some searchables, we have a feed. It's pretty much what you would expect. So I would say that the Huawei P40 Pro still can hold it up in 2020. And if you're not really a heavy user of Google Maps or Google services and etc., I know this is a phone to go. Life without Google isn't perfect, but this phone still handles quite nice even without Google. And a lot of things, right, that you are not able to find into the Huawei gallery, you should be able to find in Aptoide, guys. With that said, guys, I think it's really like a long video, but I do really hope that you had like a full glance at what this phone can offer you in 2020. Is it a good phone? I would say yes. Is it a nice phone in hand? I would 100% say yes. Alright guys, so I really hope that you have liked this video. If that's the case, you might want to consider hitting the bell icon and subscribing for my channel, and we're just gonna catch up in my next videos guys. VST over and bye.